Okay. Don't know how many people are going to tune into this, but I wanted to just say good luck to everyone that is taking the OCR Computer Science exam tomorrow. I'm going to be around for the next few minutes, just giving you some handy tips on what to do the day before an exam. The number one tip is get a good night's sleep. How's it going? So this is like, it's not going to be a long one. I just wanted to say good luck, and if you've got any last minute concerns or things that, tips that you want, exam technique tips, this is your opportunity to ask away. I've only got a few minutes, but I will do my best to answer any questions that you may have. Yeah, don't watch YouTube. That's a pretty sensible one. Another top tip: don't panic. Don't stress about it. It's unlikely that you're going to cram any additional knowledge into your head at this late stage. It's more a case of just solidifying what's in there. So if you stress about it, chances are you're not going to do as well as if you didn't stress about it. But I mean, you guys have been putting the work in recently, and so well, you should know most of the stuff. Do not stay up late watching YouTube videos hoping that you can fill in those last gaps. Get a really, really good night's sleep so that you are nice and fresh for the exam. And fetch, decode, execute. There is a video on fetch, decode, execute, which is on this channel right here, right now. So I would highly recommend that you watch that video. It is at this stage, if you don't know stuff, it's probably too late to get it into your head. And so my advice would be, the stuff that's already in your head, make sure that you know it back to front. Remember, when you're taking the exam, read through the entire paper before you start answering any questions. That will give you the chance to spot the easiest questions, the questions that you are most comfortable with. Answer those ones first. I always like to pace myself. So if you aim for 1 mark per minute, that should give you about 10 minutes at the end where you can check everything out. Now, if you're stressing out over a question that is only worth 1 mark, if you've spent more than a minute on it, let it go, move on. Okay, it is not worth spending the extra time on that question. It's a waste of time. So I will be in C3 from 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. It would help a lot if you came loaded with a few questions. Now, bearing in mind, the morning before the exam is not the time to put new knowledge into your head. It's the time to make sure that the concepts that you think you understand, you definitely do. So I can clear up any questions that you have regarding any little odd bits and bobs that might be floating around in your head. Other top tips: when you're doing the 8-mark essay questions, remember, to get the top mark bands, they are looking for a line of reasoning that runs throughout your answer. If you just put a bunch of bullet points that don't seem to be linked together, you're not going to get the high mark bands. But if you start off and you say, it says a playback error occurred. Am I still live? Do not know. Maybe. Nope. Looks like the stream's died. Oh, okay, maybe not. No, I'm back. Right. Don't know what happened there. So yeah, if you're answering one of those essay questions, you want to start off by saying, try not to restate the question. If they say there are many factors, discuss the factors involved in, upgrading your phone or something like that. You don't want to start off by saying there are many factors involved in upgrade. Yeah, well, they know that. That's why they're asking you about it. Okay. So launch into it, but maybe give like a brief overview of the points that you're going to make. Try and get each of the points to lead into the next one. They're looking for causal links between things. So what the actions of the stakeholders, making more money and driving technological advancement, that has a knock-on effect on the amount of environmental waste that happens. See how they sort of like link together. What they like to see is this nice line of reasoning which links all of your stuff together. If you aim to make the last sentence in your paragraph tie up with the first sentence in the next paragraph, that's generally the way to do it. Make sure that your handwriting is neat. Examiners are not paid by the hour, they are paid by the paper, and if they cannot read your handwriting, they are not going to do what I usually do, which is spend hours scrutinizing it and learn your handwriting so that I know what this stuff means. They are just going to skip it and move on. Okay, I don't really know what other tips to give. Don't panic. The time for worrying has passed. Because remember, there's no point worrying about anything ever. If you're worrying about something that you can change, stop worrying about it and change it. If you're worrying about something you can't change, stop worrying about it because you can't change it. Now, you are all in the boat where you've taken adequate steps to make sure that you have the knowledge in your head so that you don't need to worry about this. And remember as well, there are 2 exams. So if you're not so hot in this one, you do have the opportunity to pick it up in exam 2. Okay, so that's sort of like where we're at, really. Has anyone got any sort of questions or specifics like related to exam technique? Is there anything that you are concerned about and you just want some advice on? Yeah, well, I mean, obviously this is directed at my year 11s, Alex. Do we need to get the definitions exact? You should try and get them as exact as possible, but top tip, if you're struggling on coming up with a sensible definition, giving an example can help. What you should never do, though, is just take the words that they have given you and rearrange them. If they say define a wide area network, you do not write a wide area network is a network which is spread over a wide area. That's fundamentally wrong. If you say a wide area network is a network which is distributed over a large geographical area, for example, one part of the network could be housed in London and the other part of the network could be housed in, I don't know, Canberra, Australia. That's given an example like that to support what you're saying can help you out a lot. Any other questions? I mean, if you're concerned about definitions, we can go over a few of them tomorrow morning if there's specifics that you're worried about. Ye indeed. Yeet. I'm currently cooking some jambalaya. If you want the recipe for jambalaya, I can give you the recipe. Vegan, obviously. So there's that. Obviously, that's not going to really help you with your computer science exam, or maybe it will. I mean, going vegan gave me superpowers, so it could probably work for you. Do we need to know like global divide and stuff? What do you mean by global divide? Are you talking about like the ethical like divide between, like, say, advanced Western nations technologically and third world countries? Is that because that obviously something like that will feed into your answers. You don't need to know necessarily specifics. You don't need to know stats, but being able to explain the digital divide or at least mention it in some of those answers, because a lot of those ethics questions you can kind of fluff your way through. So being able to answer those, that's a thing. Do not be terrified of the exam. Okay, there is really nothing to fear. Yeah, I mean, it probably seems like the worst thing ever, but it's. There are worse things that can happen. Okay, you're prepared for this, so there's no need to fear it. Okay, yeah, you might get blindsided with a question you're not sure about, but remember, answer every single question. If you leave a question blank, you are guaranteed to get 0 marks. If you have a crack at it, there's a chance that you might be able to scrape some marks together. Okay, now I'm not saying you should be completely fearless. The only people without fear are the dead and the soon to be dead. As Logan Ninefingers famously said, if you're a fan of Joe Abercrombie, and if you're not, you should be. It's good to have a sort of a healthy nervousness about it, but do not let that control you. Okay, you might get butterflies in your stomach, and that is perfectly normal when you're going into any sort of exam. I mean, I get butterflies when I go for job interviews, even though I'm pretty confident in my abilities. So even if you're at the top of your game, there's nothing wrong with you get butterflies, you feel nervous. That's fine, and it's useful because it gets the adrenaline pumping and it makes you more alert. Don't get nonchalant and go in. Don't get in there. No, I don't mean job interviews. I mean the job interviews that I had before I came here. So the other thing as well is don't go in expecting to fail, right? The target that you set yourself is one that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Obviously, don't go in there saying, "Oh, I'm definitely going to get a 9," But if you go in there saying, "Oh, well, I'm just going to get a 2, so what's the point in trying?" then you're going to get a 2, But if you go in there saying, "Right, I'm aiming for at least a 5. Let's make this happen." Okay, you've got to be sensible about it, right? But just oh, hang on, my thing's beeping. I've just got to go and check my my dinner. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, feel free to field any questions while I'm just gone. I'll be there back in a moment. Dinner's going to be amazing. Right. So, best of luck. Go in there with an open mind. Remember, attempt every single question. Read through the entire paper before you answer the questions. Make sure that you read through every single question. Okay? Before you answer it, read through it a couple of times just to make sure that you know exactly what you are answering, because it's very easy to give a perfect answer to a question you haven't been asked. Okay, we'll have a look at that tomorrow morning when we go over this stuff. What's a virtual network? Okay, so a quick thing about a virtual network. So when you connect somewhere on the internet, your IP address is obviously broadcast to everywhere that you that you travel. A virtual network is sort of like it's sort of like a tunnel through the internet. So you connect to a proxy server, and the proxy server accesses parts of the internet on your behalf, and at no point does your personal IP address get sort of thrown out there. So a virtual network it's kind of like your own personal private tunnel through the internet. That's sort of it doesn't have to be on the internet as well. You can have virtual networks as part of a wider network, but it's a way to section off parts of the network, and logically, as far as the server's concerned, they are separate networks, even though physically they might form parts of various different networks all joined together. Okay. Do we need to know about rootkits and insider attacks? We've never learned that, or just worms and trojans and stuff. No, you don't really need to know about rootkits. I've never seen a question about rootkits. Insider attacks, the only thing that I can think of is the man-in-the-middle attack, which I definitely have taught you about. That's... there we go. But again, specific questions on the topics we can go over tomorrow morning. I'll just reiterate what I've said. Don't panic. It's not the end of the world if you don't do well, but obviously you make things a little bit, the stakes a little bit higher in the second exam. Obviously, I want all of you to do as well as you possibly can. So go in there with a positive mindset, right? If you think you are beaten, you are, as Rudyard Kipling once wrote. Okay? If you go in there with a positive mindset, okay, not a ridiculous, unachievable goal, but if you go in there thinking, right, this is what I'm aiming for, and let's just have a crack at that. And if a question daunts you, if you read it and you're like, I have no idea how to answer that, right, just skip it, move on to the next one, okay, and then you can always come back to it, right? So remember to pace yourself 1 mark per minute, and that'll leave you some time at the end. Try and answer every single question. Even if you've got absolutely no idea, scroll something down. If it's about networks, churn out some details that you know about networks, even if you're not entirely sure how to answer the question, because then you've got the chance to answer it. There's going to be a lot of questions as well where you have to use your own common sense. If you've got a question about touchscreen GUIs, think about your mobile phones. You use those things every single day, right? Think about the different features there, right? If there's a question about menu-driven interfaces, think of like a cash machine or something like that. These are all the sorts of things that you do every day, and there's going to be stuff on the paper which is not necessarily 100% what has been taught, but it's going to be along the same lines. So you need to just be able to be flexible, adaptable, and put it into the context. Remember, it's a computer science exam. Think of all the things that you have done with a computer inside and outside the classroom. Those are the sorts of things that are going to come in there. Remember, come up with examples. Examples can help your answer to no end. If you're not entirely sure how to describe something, give an example, because you may get the marks. If you're asked to describe something and there's 2 marks available, that's going to be 1 mark for the actual thing and a 2nd mark for actually describing it. Okay, so use the amount of marks available to give you an idea of how much to write. If it says something like state blah 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 blah, it means just write it down. You're going to get 1 mark for that state. Boom, done. If you've got a really, really long question and it's worth 1 mark and you're there like scratching your head, skip it. It doesn't matter. 1 mark, who cares? Move on to the next one. All of you have got this, no problem. You can all do it. Every single one of you. You just need confidence in yourselves. Some of you know that you're good, and you know that you're going to do well, and I know that you're going to do well. Don't get too cocky. Okay, go in there thinking, right, this is still going to be a challenge, right? Some of you, I know that you can do well, but you lack faith in your own abilities, right? So you've got to go in there thinking, yeah, I can do this. Because if you weren't ready for this, I wouldn't be putting you through it. I wouldn't say to you, you can do this, if I wasn't entirely sure that you can do it. And I have the utmost faith in all of you, okay? Remember what I've said countless times. I care about your future, but you need to care about your future more, which means you need to go in with the right mindset. You need to take my advice. I have sat countless exams in my life, and I've done pretty well out of most of them. Okay? But, you've got to go in there with that mindset. I can do this, because I know you can. Alright? So, anyone got any questions before I sort of sign off and then say, right, see you tomorrow? No. Oui. What time is the session? I will be in C3 from 7:30. I usually get into school around 7 o'clock to get stuff ready. So C3 will be open at 7:30. If you get there before then, just like knock on the IT office. I'll be around, so I can open the door. You guys get preferential treatment. I kick anyone out that is not sitting the exam, because tomorrow is your day. You are the most important people in the entire school tomorrow. No one else matters. Also, I've got a new tie. I'll be wearing my new tie tomorrow, so that's something for you to look forward to. So, get a good night's sleep, everybody. Okay, you got this. Make sure you get a good breakfast in the morning as well. I recommend porridge. But if you don't like porridge, just something, get something hearty inside you. Do not skip breakfast. Okay, stay off the energy drinks. You don't need that stuff. Okay, get yourself a decent breakfast. Get some fruit or something like that. Get some fruit juice, orange juice, or something like that. You need to have some stuff inside you before you go into that exam. Okay, that's about it. Get a good night's sleep. Don't panic. You got this. You got this. I believe in you. Yeah? That's the worst looking heart I've ever seen. How does it go? Is that a heart? There we go. That kind of works, right? Yeah. Right, thank you everybody. I shall see you all tomorrow. Bright and early. I don't want to hear any doom saying. I don't want to hear any, oh, we're going to fail. I want you to come in saying this might be hard, but we've got a good chance. Right? If you go in thinking you're going to fail, you probably will. If you go in thinking, right, we've got a challenge ahead of ourselves, you stand a chance. Okay? So, positive mental attitude all day, every day. Okay? That's how I get through life. That's how you guys will get through this exam. Yeah? Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Go and do something fun for this evening. Okay? Now is probably not the right time to cram stuff in, because that's going to stress you out. Take some time, relax, get a good night's sleep, and then tomorrow we'll hit some last minute revision. You'll go into the exam knowing everything you need to do, and you'll come out feeling great. Alright?